gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's November the 11th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, and today, the great young wonder king, Izuebee Charles, as we discuss the news of the day, presented by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And guys, we must begin, I think, with the events at Hard Rock Stadium over the weekend. And the tough times just continue for Mario Cristobal, the Miami Hurricanes. But if there was a positive that came out of it, it's that all the recruits seem to still be on board with Mario Cristobal's master plan. And Izuebee, I mean, we were out there after the game talking to a bunch of those guys. You were, in the middle of the fray. I don't think we heard one guy say that they're second guessing or questioning their commitment to become a Miami Hurricane.
Yeah, and I believe it's been like that all season long. After any win, after any loss, the guys are still, hey, I'm ready to come in January and get this thing going. I want to come in and make an instant impact. The biggest takeaway I have from talking to the guys with Raul Popo Aguero, he's saying, hey, I'm coming in to take somebody's job. I know we're a big family, but I'm coming in to take somebody's job, and I want to play early. So those guys are all really locked in. I spoke with Tommy Kinzer, Jackson Carver, all those guys having the same message. We want to come in and build something up. Doesn't really matter what's happening now. It's going to matter when we get there and when we have our opportunity to make a change. So really good things from the commits.
The one thing that stood out to me other than that is if you look at just like the offensive linemen that they have in this class, these guys look better in high school than the guys that are playing for the Hurricanes now, just as physical prospects. And somebody came up to me, and I don't know if they would want me to repeat it, so I'm not going to give their name, but somebody who was up in the recruiting area was just like astonished at how big and physical and good all of these 2023 recruits look. And somebody made the comment to me that they've never seen anything like this at Miami, where kids that are at this progressed stage of their development are either committed or seriously considering Miami. And we certainly haven't seen it in a very long time. And it bodes well for the future. So you got what, I guess 5 weeks, 5.5 weeks or so till signing day. No, I mean, yeah, 5.5, 6 weeks till signing day, depending on what day you start to count. And it's looking like that the Canes are going to be able to hold on to this class. And it would be nice if they played a little bit better these last few weeks of the season, if they won a couple of these games. But Matt, watching what was going on, hey,
you can see me. You can see me on the screen.
Don't
I'm
take
here.
it for granted, man. Don't take it for granted. It's one click, and it's bye, Matt. So if I'm coming to you, don't take it for granted, okay? Cherish your moment here on Good Morning CaneSport. Now, so as I was saying, based on the goings-on that we saw inside the stadium on Saturday night, do you think is there a concern about these guys showing up for these final few weeks of the season?
Okay, so I'm not talking about recruiting anymore. I'm talking about the team now.
Talk about whatever you want, man.
Okay.
This is an open forum.
All right. So let's talk about a lot of stuff.
Can you believe he's giving me a hard time like this?
Well, I don't know. You shifted the topic. I was confused. Okay, so team-wise, I always say, and I've said on the show so many times, things are never as good as they seem, and things are never as bad as they seem. But in this case, yeah, it's as bad as it seems. Like, it's the worst I've seen in 20 years covering this team. I've never seen a team give what I perceive as a lack of effort, what I perceive as not living up to their talent, what I perceive as really poor play calling and planning on offense to the point that it's almost like the offensive coordinator is saying, hey, defense, win the game for us, which what offensive coordinator does that? It's bad, man. Like, this team is bad. Like,
yesterday was, I think, the worst offensive game plan I have ever seen covering the Miami Hurricanes.
Now, as that pertains to recruiting, okay, whenever the team was doing really well, it was always, hey, the recruits were saying, hey, I want to join a winning program that can win championships. And they were all excited about it. When Miami's doing poorly, all of a sudden it's, hey, I have a great opportunity to come in and start. Like, which is better? It's better to win. Fans act like this is great for recruiting, that the team's terrible. Like, no, let's keep it real, people. It's not good for recruiting that your team sucks. That's terrible for recruiting. But Mario Cristobal will get the pieces in place. NIL has got to stay strong, obviously, to support Mario's efforts. For those of you that want the offensive coordinator fired tomorrow and the defensive coordinator fired tomorrow, you don't do that, because in recruiting, there's an effect. And the effect is other programs will all of a sudden be calling every commit you have saying, you're a receiver commit, you're a running back commit. Well, not running back commit, but whatever commit you are, quarterback commit. You don't even know what offense they're going to run. You don't know if you're going to be the new guy's guy who he wants to use. Why would you go to that school? So you can't get rid of these guys. You need to do a thorough evaluation after the season, after signing day, make your decisions. As far as recruits are concerned, these guys will be back because there's no other way to present it right now. There's no other way to present it. They have to keep, Mario said right after the game, he gave Josh Gaddis a vote of confidence after the game. He said, look what he did at Michigan. He said he won the Broyles Award, So that's the line they're going to take. Now, with that said, before fans freak out, I don't expect either of these guys to be calling plays next year on this team, okay? But they have to. This is why Mario has to say that. It's the same reason why Joe Biden says he's going to run for president again. Because if he doesn't say that, he'll never get any legislation through. He'll be a lame duck president. You can't be a lame duck head coach at Miami.
Oh, Mario's not a lame duck head coach. Mario's here for the
No, I'm sorry, not head coach. I mean lame duck coordinators. But he would be a lame duck head coach in the sense that when a recruit says, hey, what offense are you going to run? He'll say, oh, I'm going to try to get a coordinator who runs a whatever. But, it's so easy to negative recruit against that.
Well, I don't know if Josh Gaddis will be here or not be here. I feel his pain. He was very successful last year at Michigan.
You think Josh Gaddis will be back next year, Gary? That's great.
I mean,
That's great. You're on the record for that. That's awesome.
I don't. No, I don't. But it's just, I will acknowledge that it's just guessing right now. But he did have a very good year at Michigan last year. But he did it with a developed set of personnel, with an offensive line, with receivers, with tight ends and running backs. He had everything. He had a team that was good enough to go to the college football playoff. Now, he hasn't had that this year at Miami. The offensive line is atrocious. 1 minute, Matt. The offensive line is atrocious, obviously. But to me, it doesn't excuse the way that he attacked this game yesterday. And I just want to, there were two things that really jumped out at me. Okay. Ja'Cory Brown had 13 rushing attempts in the game. And I would say 12 of the 13 were just Ja'Cory running right up the middle and getting the crap kicked out of him and pushing for as many yards as he can get. There was one that was well-designed run that he got outside and gained 7, I believe it was 18 yards on that play. But your traditional running backs, Henry Parrish, 6 carries. Jalen Knighton, 4 carries. Thad Franklin, 3 carries. Lucius Stanley, 2 carries. How is the freshman quarterback, the third-team quarterback, getting the more rushing attempts than even your running backs, guys? And I'm going to say something else. Will Mallory, who might be the best player on offense on this team, did not get 1 target in that game Saturday. Now, these are inexcusable things to me, and I just don't know what they can do about it. He's got a 3-year contract. I mean, they really would need somebody to hire him away. Where are they going to find somebody to, pay off almost $4 million of a buyout? But it's definitely an issue, Matt. Go ahead. I'm calling on you because I see that you're
But you know what, Gary? You make him the wide receiver coach and let him quit, okay? Anyway, because Ponce could even run the offense better than this. He was the coordinator at App State. But here's what I was going to say, which is why I was trying to interrupt you a little bit, but I didn't because I'm a nice person, okay? Nice people don't interrupt each other, right, Gary?
That's right.
You just interrupted me. Jeez. Okay, so here's what. Okay, Gary and I and Izuebee, we talk to numerous people during the week. We hear.
Keep this
things.
up. I'm just going to turn the show over to Izuebee.
We don't report a lot of what we hear because it doesn't behoove anybody to give Florida State any ammunition whatsoever. But here's what I did hear from talking to several people last week. Okay, and it bothers me a little bit because I've heard this throughout the season also. And I said it before the year. I said I would not have had, and this was a critical error, okay, by Mario and by Josh Gaddis. I said I would, and I was correct, as it turns out, from talking to people. I would not have had Josh Gaddis coach the receivers and be the offensive coordinator. There's a reason most offensive coordinators are quarterbacks coach or whatever it is, or you just have them sort of run the offense in one voice. Because from what I've heard now is several times is that what Josh Gaddis is telling the quarterbacks as the coordinator and what Frank Ponce is telling the quarterbacks as their quarterbacks coach are like this. It's like two different things. And like Frank Ponce will tell a quarterback on film, like, you should have done this. And I hear that the quarterbacks are saying, well, Coach Gaddis said that's not what we're supposed to do. Like, that's happened. Okay, that's a fact.
If that's a fact,
problem.
All right, if that's a fact, then the problem is Gaddis and Ponce's working relationship and working together.
Well, it's a natural problem because there are things they've both learned, okay? And they've only been together for however many months. There are things they've both learned through the course of their years coaching. And they know it. And they sometimes, like, when you tell your kids something, you see them do something, and it's like so obvious to you, like, why would you do that? Isn't it common sense to do X instead? Like, these coaches don't understand. Some of these players really are at square zero compared to the coach's knowledge. And they think, of course, you should know to do that. Of course, that should be a back shoulder throw. But no, that's not necessarily what a quarterback sees and understands to do. And if one coach is saying that on that play you should do this, and the other coach is saying, hey, that's a back shoulder, whatever it may be, like, that's not great.
And Jake Garcia, again, for the third straight week, was grossly not prepared to be in the ball game. He turned the ball over twice in the first 3 times he's touched it. I mean, I've lost count of Jake Garcia's turnover count for the last 3 weeks. I mean, it's like, it is unbelievable. I can't remember ever seeing anything like this ever before. And then the solution becomes putting the freshman quarterback in who's never played and having him be a battering ram into the middle of the line. And that's your running game. That's your running game on national TV, ABC primetime against Florida State.
By the way, and Izuebee, you got to talk in a minute, but don't get me started on Jakari, because he does not even know how to line up the offense, and they put him out there. He's been here. Did he come in January? He came in January. He has had how many months for the coaches to teach him how to line up a basic play on offense? I mean, it's mind-blowing to me. Sorry, go ahead, Izuebee. You haven't talked in like 45 minutes. So what are your thoughts, Izuebee?
My 2 biggest thoughts are, first, kind of summing up the offense for the season is that 3rd and 6 where the snap was low and it goes back 33 yards. Just get into the goal line and just something happening that halts them from crossing that goal line and scoring. And kind of touching on the Jake and Jakari situation, I feel like it's kind of unfortunate that they got placed in that situation, down 21-3. Jake's first play is a 3rd and 17. So as a quarterback, I don't know how his mindset was heading to, I'm down 21-3, it's 3rd and 17. This is my first play. And I think every play Jake played on was a 3rd and long behind the chain. So that pressure of 3rd down, I have to make something happen. I feel like he was kind of even more pressure. You're coming in for Van Dyke, and now it's 3rd and I'm behind the chains. I have to make something happen. So I can't put all the blame on Garcia, but also the situations he was put in was not the most ideal situations for a quarterback to come in, that hasn't warmed up, that hasn't been in the game, that hasn't got into a rhythm.
So, like, the whole thing was so flawed. And, you got to assume that Gaddis is in charge of that. I understand that Mario can overrule anything he's seeing and what's going on out there. I would like to think that Gaddis consults with Mario about his game plans and stuff. But I mean, it was just a horror show, okay? And if he had a normal coaching contract and it wasn't $1.8 million a year for 2 more years after this one, and there wasn't those type of ramifications, I can't imagine that he wouldn't have been fired after that game. And I like Josh Gaddis. Seems like a really good dude. We don't know him that well, but he seems like a really good dude and whatever. But like, you can't have a job like that. These coordinators are very well paid and supposed to be like elite coaches, and you can't have a job like that and fail as badly in as big of a moment and as big of a stage as that was on Saturday night, with all of the top recruits in the country in attendance and everybody watching on TV in a packed stadium. I mean, that was just such a horrendous look for Miami. And, we're seeing a lot of reaction to it around the country, and it's not pretty. And I really, I feel for Mario, because I understand how hard he's worked, and I understand how badly he wants to see this thing get right. And I understand how far it is from being right at this moment. But some of these coaches are failing him too. Like, they are not absolved of blame for everything that's been going on. And it's a team. It is a team, coaches and players. And somebody called me yesterday and made a great point. It's somebody that's in the coaching profession, and they said, when somebody puts together an all-star team, is it really a team? And I thought about it for a minute, and the answer is no. Just because you put together an all-star team, it's not necessarily a team. It's not like us at CaneSport. We have chemistry. We work great together. Matt, when you screw up, Izuebee is there to pick up the pieces, and it is a true functioning team. Okay, I don't get the impression that we have that right now. We're seeing too many positions breaking down. What a horrible year the defensive backs are having. Let's start there. Is Coach Adai responsible for that? I don't know. I know the defensive backs have never looked worse. I know they weren't giving up deep plays like this last year. Same guys like they've been giving up this year. Are they being properly prepared for games? I don't know. I see right out of the gate, DJ Ivey again left on an island with a speed receiver. He's got no chance in that situation. Florida State knew it. They tried it 3 times in the game. It only worked once, but they clearly were targeting setting that up. And it looked to me like Al Blades made the wrong decision, but I can't believe DJ Ivey was expected to cover that guy on a deep post by himself. But we're seeing a lot of breakdowns at defensive back. I'm linebacker, we knew was going to be a tough position all year. Defensive line, how do you explain Florida State running a basic counter play? They must have run that play 12 times, guys. Just a basic counter play, and they were peeling off massive chunks of yardage to where a running back who was a bench warmer on Mario Cristobal's Oregon team last year put up, 150 yards? Trey Benson, 131 yards, okay? Running a basic
you're not including his receiving yards. He had 25 yards receiving also.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like just running that counter play.
Yeah.
He was getting huge chunks of yardage. Clearly, Miami was busting it at the defensive line level. It looked to me like a lot of those busts were Leonard Taylor. But, how is that happening? That over and over and over again. I have a hard time just blaming the kids. And Izuebee, you were a absolutely mind-blowing athlete in high school. And, you had to go out on the field and execute on game day. And, what are your thoughts on, some of this that we're seeing with the DBs, with the defensive linemen, with an offense that can't even, on a few occasions couldn't get lined up properly for a play? Who gets blamed for that? Is it you, Izuebee Charles, or is it your coach?
I feel like that's something that's on both parties regarding preparation before a game. I feel like if a team is running, I mentioned it while the game was happening in the press box, Florida State is running the same counter play. They're just flipping the sides. They pull the left guard, they pull the left tackle, they delay the running back, he counters. same play next time. I think on one drive they ran the counter play 4 or 5 times, and the last one being a touchdown. So at that point, that's on, hey, coach, there's something going on. We can't stop. What do we got to do to adjust that? So I feel like it's kind of on both parties with, did we not see this on film? What are they doing different in game that we need to adjust? So just things like that with both parties. But that counter was, I was honestly baffled in the press box. If I'm seeing it up here, why can't the coaching staff see it down there? And it's the same play over and over and over. It's not like they're running anything super fancy. It's not that they're running a spread triple option or anything crazy. It's just a reverse counter with the left guard and the left tackle, the right guard and the right tackle delaying, and then peeling off and just blowing up the Miami defensive line and hitting the linebackers and just gashing them for yards over and over again. And not the missed tackles on top of that too. So that's just a recipe for disaster, honestly.
Yeah, blowing up, such an appropriate word. And I talked to some people after the game. The Florida State game plan was very simple. They didn't think Miami could score, and Mike Norvell told his offensive coaches, "Run the football. We're not taking a chance on turning it over and doing crazy stuff. And we can pound the ball in this game and win going away." And that's the way it played out. Miami scored 3 points in the game. Never really had a chance to score. I mean, other than when they had the bad snap, but the game was over at that point anyway. I mean, but there was no passing game at all, guys. Let's talk about that for a minute. How do you go into a game with no passing game?
FSU just stacking the box. Honestly, I feel like they just didn't respect Jakari as a passer of the Miami passing game at all. Every time I'd count 8 or 9 guys in the box just waiting, and like you mentioned, just using him as a batting ramp over and over and over again. I feel like there was no real creativity in the running game. I feel like it's an inside run, and when you have 8, 9 guys in the box, I don't know what you expect the outcome to be with that. So it's real questionable with that too.
All right, so we all agree how bad it was. So now the question is, what does Mario Cristobal do about this, Matt? He's got Josh Gaddis for another two years and 3 or 4 games under contract. We don't even know what he really thinks about the job that Josh Gaddis is doing for him. We aren't overwhelmed by what we're seeing, but what does he do about it? You're going to buy out a contract at this point when you're trying to build a building and you're asking people to contribute to collectives and NIL and everything else. Where are you going to go to find $3.5 million to buy out a defensive coordinator who only won the Broyles Award last year as the top assistant coach in college football? This is a massive dilemma for Mario, and along with the evaluations of everybody, and the other thing I'm going to throw out that before you answer, Matt, is this organization was built from scratch. You probably have 80, 90, 100 people that were hired to work at Miami football in this new staff. You're not getting every one of those hires right. I don't care how good of a head coach you are. You're always going to have some movement, attrition, adjustments, going forward. First years, unless it's a ready-made program, are usually horrible for coaches for that reason. Butch's wasn't good. Jimmy Johnson's wasn't good. First years can be really bad, and now Mario's isn't good. Matt, what does Mario do about this?
Well, the good news is they found the solution. There's a fullback out of Wisconsin named Sam Kufel, and he's a walk-on, but he's a fullback, and that's what's missing from this offense. He flat out told us, he said, listen, they told me they need a fullback. They don't have one on the roster, and I'm coming in, and I'm going to be the fullback. So the run game will finally get on track, and everything's going to be fine. The Hurricanes fans do not need to worry. There's a fullback, a walk-on fullback coming next year. We're going to be fine. But in all seriousness, and apologies to Sam, I wasn't trying to make fun of him, but it's walk-ons, you never make fun of them. But he did say that they told him they don't have a fullback and they need a fullback and they want him to be the fullback. So that's true. But there was somebody posted this. I'm not going to take credit for this one on the War Room, saying, on a baseball team, when you have a starting pitcher come out of the game and he leaves the bases loaded, he's credited with any runs that score given up by the reliever, with the inference that Mario is the reliever and Manny is the starting pitcher. And to some extent, it's right. Where Mario got this wrong was he needed to blow this thing up and start over this year and let fans know this is so bad. We know it as coaches because they're all experienced coaches. Broyles Award winner, Mario's turned around programs, been in Alabama. They should have recognized what we as media people did not, which was how bad this team is. We as media people, I was on the lower end for win total, but even I said 8 wins, but most media people were like 9, maybe 10 wins. They're going to win the ACC Coastal for sure. And it was a disservice to the program. Mario and these coaches, for whatever reason, didn't see it, which is a little worrisome to me. But if he had known, he would have blown it up. Now he knows he's going to blow it up. They got to get rid of so many guys off this roster. So many guys.
They got rid of 21 guys from last year's team.
They have to get rid of more than that. And the good news is it's unlimited recruits for the next 2 cycles. So anybody he wants in 2023 and 2024, he could take 85 guys in the next 2 classes if he wanted, including transfer portal guys. Unlimited for 2 years. That's an NCAA rule just for these 2 classes.
If enough guys are turned loose.
So, turned loose?
Well, they got to create roster spots. They can only go.
Oh yeah, no, obviously. So yeah, you can only take 85 total on your roster. But you can through a mixture of great recruiting and free agency with NIL deals, this can very quickly be built up again. If this was even 5 years ago and this was happening at Miami, I would tell fans the truth, which is go find another team to root for. I would tell you that. I am not telling you that because I know what Mario's vision is. He hasn't told me the blueprint because it's a very, very closely guarded secret. I heard he keeps it under his pillow at night, but I am not going to go break into his house and look for it. But that's where he keeps it. And the blueprint says, work hard, work hard, work hard, don't sleep, recruit, and bring in some free agents. And that's it. And that will work. That will work, assuming that there's good game day coaching. And the legitimate criticism of Mario is he's not a great game day coach yet. He is the best recruiter you'll find as a head coach. The best. I don't think there's anyone better. But there are legitimate things that we've seen this year with him as a head coach where it's almost like he's a rookie head coach again, calling timeouts when he doesn't need to and just confusion. And he doesn't seem to really understand Lou Headley's your major weapon, going for it on 4th and 1 from your own 45, whatever, things like that in a close game that, a different head coach wouldn't do. And I don't quite know why he did it. And then he stopped doing it. And he seems like he listens.
He's made a handful of mistakes this year, but
a handful of mistakes in 8 games is too many mistakes, Gary, or 9 games. But anyway, you can defend him, whatever. There have been mistakes.
It's not a matter of defending.
There have been obvious mistakes we've seen. I love Mar to death, but I'm not going to be his defender. He likes to keep it real. I do too. There have been obvious mistakes we've seen. And usually when you see mistakes, there's others you're not seeing, okay? Whether it's in practice, game planning, whatever. There's not just player problems here. This is across the board problems that need to be fixed from the ground up. Mario knows it because he's smart. He's seen it. He's done it at other programs, and it's a nuclear reboot, man. He's got to get rid of almost everybody on this team. I mean, if James Williams is going to keep playing like this, man, what's the point of even having him? He's the most talented guy on the roster, pure talent, NFL first-round talent, and yet he still insists on reaching for balls and not even trying to tackle guys. I mean, if you can't get that across to him in year 2, I don't know what you do.
He's playing out of
these
position.
things need to be fixed by the coaches. You got to bench players. You got to bench players or don't bring them back if they're not going to listen to you. Period. Because when other players see players not listening to you, they're not going to listen either.
Yeah, he's playing out of position. He needs to go linebacker, but that's the least of the worries right now.
He can't tackle. Why would you put him at linebacker either?
Because he'll be tackling in a tighter space. He won't have to be out in open field as much. But
if he tackles well, it doesn't matter where you put him. He'll be great.
But listen, so here's the biggest mistake Mario's made this year. It's not the couple mistakes he's made with timeouts and not punting when he should have in a couple games and stuff. That's the biggest mistake that Mario's made this year. Is that he, for this particular team, with these kids that are just not strong enough mentally, I think he overcooked it. He overcooked the chicken. He overcooked the rice. Whatever. The pot is scorched.
Nobody understands what you're talking about.
Wait, you know what? He's not letting me finish this. Let me just finish this thought. So he overcooked everything.
I'm back. I can control it too.
He stole the.
I figured out the system. I hacked the system. Welcome
All
to
right.
the Matt Shodell Show, everybody. Good morning, CaneSport. I have a lot of thoughts I'd like to share with everybody today. You know, Mario Cristobal, when he cooks at home, he overcooks his chicken. You all understand what I'm talking about, right? Because you've all overcooked chicken before. Gary, your thoughts on overcooking chicken?
All right. I'm kind of speechless right now. But no, here's what I think. I think he coached this team like it's Alabama getting ready to play for the national title. And you have to, you have no space to screw up. And every play and every game is of the ultimate significance because you're playing for the ultimate prize. You're playing for it all. And I think the physical and mental demands on these kids from the time that the transition took place back in December, almost a year ago, was too much for these guys. I mean, I'm seeing a team that has just mentally fallen apart. Like, forget the physical issues and all the injuries and all that. It's like these guys, like they didn't look this lost and bad even when Manny was here, and we know how bad things were then. Like these guys are just mentally, it's like they've short circuited, and they are busting everything constantly all the time. Whether it's a defensive lineman that's not in his gap, whether it's a secondary player who's making the bad decisions and blowing his coverage, whether it's an offensive lineman not blocking the right guys, whether it's a receiver running the wrong pattern. Whether it's a quarterback throwing the ball right in the hands of guys that are out in the flat. We've seen that several times in the last several weeks. This team is mentally short-circuited, okay? Unlike anything we've seen in recent history. And I think that the mistake that Mario made was in trying to coach these guys and will these guys to be what he ultimately hopes Miami football will look like. And maybe not realizing that these guys weren't even close to being capable of doing it. And when they started having some tough times at Texas A&M and onward, it all fell apart because all of that hard work and pain and everything else that those kids had put in to get ready for those moments ended up being a waste of time because they were not winning. Okay. And that's my read on what we're seeing now. We are seeing a team that just mentally is checked out. They cannot function on the football field. And the Florida State game, guys, could have been worse than what it was.
Take over, Izuebee.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of going off what Gary's saying with that, I feel like the expectations, Mario did mention there's a lot of work to be done here. I feel like the expectations were set a bit too high before the season started. And I feel like a lot of people seeing other first-year head coaches succeed is kind of dawning on or bringing down what Mario's doing. Guys like Brian Kelly at LSU, first-year head coaches, beat Bama. 3 years ago, that was a national championship team, plenty of talent on the team. Guys like Lincoln Riley at USC, he brings in a Biletnikoff winner, Jordan Addison, bring Caleb Williams. I mean, you can't really compare what Mario has in Miami to programs like that. TCU undefeated. Gary Patterson was at that program for 21 years, I believe. So he established a culture. Every so often, TCU always has this good team that they go on some type of run like this. So I feel like the expectations before the season were set a bit too high. And now when it's reality, people are kind of scrambling saying, what's going on really? And seeing other programs to see like this with first-year head coach.
Izuebee, all right? It's time for me to finally pick on you, my friend, because the expectations were set too high before the season. What was your prediction in the press box before the Miami-Florida State game started, Mr. Izuebee?
I thought they were going to come out with some type of win because the atmosphere was awesome, but I quickly reverted on my statement saying this is not looking too good after that first quarter.
I mean, look, the Miami media is always like the Matt Shodells of the world and just very depressed and negative and horrible people. And we were all telling Izuebee, we're giving him a hard time. We're like, Izuebee, you're the only one in this entire press box who actually thinks Miami's going to win. And Izuebee's like smiling and happy. He's like, yeah, it's going to be so great when they win, you know. Covering recruiting is going to be so much fun after a big win like this, you know. It's great. And Izuebee's happy, and then the first series comes, and you just see Izuebee smile just slowly go down, you know. And as the game went on, even worse and worse. I think there were some tears shed at one point. But the point is, for everyone watching this, Izuebee is the happiest person I think I've ever met. I mean, literally, they're losing, I don't know what this 38-3 at one point, and so someone in the media press box is like ragging on Izuebee, like, "Hey, Izuebee, you still think Miami's going to come back and win?" And Izuebee's like, "Hey guys, the sun still rises tomorrow," and he's all happy and bouncing around, and that's what you need. That's what CaneSport needs, more Izuebees. And by the way, Gary, you want to know what I can do? Watch this. Looking down. Look, finally, Izuebee, we're free. We're free of Gary Ferman. He's not coming back.
Oh no.
So let's have a little conversation here, Izuebee. Okay, what do you really think of Gary? Tell me the truth. I mean, he's like, what do you think?
I love Gary. He's an awesome guy.
See, this is what I mean. He's so nice. Izuebee's Gary. Oh, you figured out how to do that.
What the hell is this? Now they put me over there? No way. There we go. Hey, so there is other stuff to talk about today, and it's really good stuff. But first, let's hear from our friends at LifeWallet.
I know what you're thinking. Why do I get to star in my own commercial? Well, I was LifeWallet's first female athlete. So let me be the first to let you in on a little secret on how I've grown my NIL. Introducing LifeWallet Sports, a revolutionary platform giving athletes complete control over their NIL opportunities, connecting athletes to brands and businesses specific to their followers' likes and interests. And if that's not enough, this platform also helps athletes make connections outside their sports. So let's get connected on LifeWallet Sports. Take it from me, it's a hole-in-one.
LifeWallet, the MVP, without question, of the Miami Hurricanes football program right now. If there was no LifeWallet, guys, woo, things would not be in a great place.
True.
Here at Miami right now. But because of LifeWallet, there is incredible hope. And like we said at the beginning of the show, the recruits seem to be on board, holding together, and just got to get to signing day now in 5 weeks. All right. So today marks the start of the basketball season. And on face value, I know that's not necessarily the biggest deal to some of you guys, but it is a big deal at Miami. And the men's team has incredible hopes for this season. They're really, really good. They open tonight at 7 against Lafayette, and a team that they should be able to handle pretty easily. But the big thing about men's basketball is that this team is built like last year's team to go deep. And if they get the right matchups in March Madness, they could go to the Elite Eight again. They could be like last year's team on the cusp of the Final Four. I really believe that strongly in what they're bringing to the table this year. But today, on opening day, they're not the biggest story at the arena, man. It's the Cavender twins' debut their regular season debut as Miami Hurricanes. And for you guys to get to know them better, we have a massive package on the website this morning on the Cavender twins with a story, with some videos and things for you guys to check out. The phenomena of these two young ladies who are now both probably millionaires by now. And none of this was part of the script when they were just like any other college students sitting at home in Fresno, California, bored out of their minds because they're on quarantine for the pandemic. And one says to the other, "Hey, let's make a TikTok video." And the other sister says, "What's TikTok?" And they quickly figured it out. They started making videos, and now I think they have 4 million followers at this point, and have become huge NIL influencers, and are marketing, I think, something like 25, 30 different brands. And then here they are starting their basketball careers at Miami. And guys, in researching the story and looking into the twins, the thing I found out is these ladies are really good basketball players. their identity right now is NIL and what they're doing on social media. These girls can flat play on the court as well. Haley Cavender has a chance to be all ACC this year. It's not out of the question. She is a knockdown shooter, and Izuebee, you're going to be out there tonight, and you'll be covering a lot of basketball for us this season. And your thoughts just on the phenomena of the Cavender twins, and you can talk about the men's team as well.
For sure, yeah. With Haley and Hannah off the court, they bring the awesome personality, TikTok, social media. But on the court, these two girls are ballers. We had the chance to watch them a little bit at their practice, and you notice they're two of the smaller players on the court, but they are feisty and they get after it. Last year at Fresno State, Haley averaged 19 points and, shockingly, from a point guard position, 9 rebounds to lead the team. So they're really scrappy. They get after it. Knock down 3-point shooters. They really spread the court out for the Hurricanes. So really excited to see them. And with the men's team as well, my biggest thing, I want to see how Nigel Pack and Isaiah Wong play with each other in that backcourt. Nigel coming from Kansas State, being one of the best shooters in the country. Isaiah Wong being the dynamic player he already is, to see how the two of those guys gel well. Coach L had really good things to say about them, how they complement their game. So seeing them tonight's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and when I was researching the story on Haley and Hannah, the thing that also struck me is, here you have these, two, really cute girls that fashioned out to the max, and amazing clothes and all that stuff. These girls get up at 5 a.m. to go hit the weights in the weight room. The thing that they have found about ACC basketball is that it's more physical than the soft California cool style of that a lot of teams play out west. In the ACC, they bang. So they have spent a lot of time in the weight room getting ready for this season so that they can handle the physicality of the ACC. So I encourage everybody, check out the Cavender twins package today. We also have some preseason basketball coverage for you guys to take a look at. And like I said, it's going to be a very, very exciting team that Jim Larinaga is putting on the court. We have our CaneSport TV presentation with Jordan Miller, who is kind of like, he's a little overshadowed by Nigel Pack and Isaiah Wong. Jordan Miller, if you talk to Jim Larinaga, has a chance to be all ACC this year. So, that's certainly something to keep your eyes on going forward. Let's see other stories on the website today. We have recruiting coverage from the weekend. Spoke to a lot of the different kids. So make sure you check that out. Izuebee, you spoke to Mark Fletcher and Brandon Innes from American Heritage, two very high-profile recruits that are committed to Ohio State right now, and Miami's trying to flip. After doing those interviews, do you think that Miami has a chance there?
With one of the two, I believe Mark Fletcher. If Miami gets one of those guys, it'll be Mark Fletcher. With Mark, grew up a Canes fan. Father's a big Canes fan. Mario and those guys have not let off at all since his recruitment with Ohio State. And their biggest thing to him, hey, come be a game changer day one. And he was telling me about that. He was saying he grew up a Canes fan, so he hopes if he goes to Ohio State, he still hopes Miami does well. With Brandon, he was saying the same things. He has faith in Crystal Ball, what he can do with the program. But if I were to pick one of the two, if they got two of them, I'd say definitely Mark has a better chance of flipping if it comes down to it at the end of the day.
One thing that I would watch there is if Ryan Day, the Ohio State head coach, takes an NFL job, which a lot of people are saying could happen, then maybe Brandon Innes reconsiders and thinks a little bit more seriously about Miami here in recruiting. But we'll see what happens there. I don't know if all that will play out before signing day, even in December. So we'll have to see what happens. All right, that's going to do it for today.
All right, hold on. I got a new tiny little addition. Very tiny, very quick. We have a new segment today we're going to call Channeling Matt Shodell's Negativity Message Board Post of the Day. And the inaugural winner of the Channeling Matt Shodell's Negativity Message Board Post of the Day, I can't say that much faster than that, goes to AD Anthony 13 for his response to me posting the Miami statement on Katie Meyer being suspended for at least the first 3 games. as they look into this stuff about some NCAA violation things. His response to me posting their release was, "Can we fire Gaddis for this?" So thank you, AD Anthony, for channeling Matt Shodell's negativity in your message board post of the day. Now, yes, AD Anthony, well done. Sorry.
Right. Now can I let people go to work?
Now you can let people go to work or whatever.
Okay. We thank you so much for starting out your morning with us. Always appreciate it. If you like these shows that we do, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. Helps us with the folks over at YouTube and their algorithms and things like that. If you're not already a subscriber to CaneSport.com, make sure you come join our community at CaneSport.com here very, very soon. We have a $10 introductory special going now that lets you come in for $10 and carries you all the way to the start of next football season, when hopefully, obviously, you will stay with us into eternity as we sit here and pound the pavement for you guys every single day of the year. So for Izuebee Charles and that guy in the middle, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you once again. You guys have a great day.